Today on In the Woodyard, I'm going to talk to the oldest guy on the planet, my dad. We're going to talk firewood coming up right now. You're going to behave?
He'll behave.
You're going to behave, or you're going to cause a scene?
He's a good boy.
Okay, I'm here with the oldest person I know, is my dad. You're about 100, right?
I'm older than the sun.
Older than the sun. No, he's 82. But anyway, we're going to talk about firewood because the other day we were talking and we were talking about how long he's been burning firewood. And I think this might be interesting to some of you, some of the things that he's done that we have no concept of because now we have machinery to do everything. And he did it the old-fashioned way years ago. So when you were a kid, you burned firewood, right?
Yep, 10 years old, which is 72 years ago. My job was to bring the wood in. It's pretty heavy. I take one chunk at a time. But my dad worked the shit out of me.
Yeah, he did, huh?
Yeah.
And you guys heated just with wood, right?
We cheated a little bit. Once in a while, I get a good buy on some coal, you know. My mother hated coal, though, because it's very behave yourself here.
Did it burn good, though, the coal?
Oh, yeah. But
and then you did mix, too, right?
Yeah, mostly wood, but coal when you got a good buy on her.
Like what did you pay? Do you remember what it cost?
We never bought any wood. Where we can get it.
No, I mean the coal.
The coal? I can't remember. It was cheap.
Like 50 cents?
Cheap and dirty.
50 cents. Because I know a guy who buys it by the ton, and it's not expensive. I want to say it's less than
cheap.
It's less than $100.
That's why China burns so much. It's cheap.
Yep, and it burns hot too.
Yeah.
Some guys will mix it now. They'll put the coal in with the wood.
Yeah.
So then when you went to all wood, when you were a kid and you were cutting, did you eventually not have coal anymore? Or?
Yeah, mostly wood. After we really got going to high school, but the weekends we cut wood every weekend, cross cut, no chainsaws in.
Just cross cut. Two guys, or you have to do it by yourself?
I had three brothers, you know, or two brothers, and the two brothers, me and Dad.
Yeah.
But Dad would give the orders. We would just give her hell on the cross cut.
Yeah.
But he treated us one year. He got a chainsaw. He rented one. We were the talk of the town. Hey, we had a chainsaw. The word got around the whole town.
It was like a two-man
Carlton's
chainsaw?
got a chainsaw. No, it was a monster. We got it with no file or nothing. We run her all day. It cost like $5 for the whole day.
Yeah.
And so we had 8 or 10 hours to go, and he didn't want to have that chainsaw stop. And so that chain was dull and everything. The smoke was rolling. Get going, you guys. And he said,
So you never sharpened it when you were cutting?
no, just put some weight on it. So finally, he did go get a file, and it was a little better, but
not much.
not much.
What do you think the rental cost? Do you remember that at all?
Like I say, about $5. It was
for a whole day.
For a whole day, yeah.
Was it a two-man saw too?
No, it was just one. It's just real big, heavy, loud thing.
So you weren't cutting trees down; you were just bucking them.
Bucking, yeah. Crosshill, we cut them all by hand because can't waste a chainsaw money. $5 is like 50 now.
Well, probably more than that.
Yeah, I worked at a cement block factory, and 80 cents an hour is what I got.
Yeah.
And that was.
Well, didn't you say your dad, when he was in the mill, he was making like 25 cents an hour or something like that?
25 cents an hour, yeah.
Jeez. Yeah.
Yeah.
We think we got it rough. So what was the first chainsaw you bought then?
McCulloch 1010.
And that's when you started burning yourself back in the 60s?
Yeah, when I first got married, burned myself.
So that was 61?
61, yeah.
Yeah. And that was right after service?
Yeah, right. I got out of service.
So your first house had a wood stove, or you put one in?
Yep, I put one in a humble, a side load and top load.
Yeah.
But the top load was, it'd take any size, but you had to have the fire way down to throw something big in because the smoke would come up there. And the mom was always hollering about the smoke. Load it from the side.
Yeah, I suppose it was always stinky in the house. I remember that as a kid, having
The
to
big
carry wood
humble.
downstairs.
That was the thing, the top loader.
Yeah.
Stumps, everything went in there.
Just any garbage you could put in.
Yeah.
Yeah, people are pretty picky compared to what it used to be. It used to be they just burn everything.
Yeah, we went through a lot of wood then. Houses are uninsulated.
Yep, yeah.
Yeah.
So what were you burning for cords back then, do you think?
Oh, balls. Probably 20 face cord, 25. That's as much as the boiler jobs do now.
Yeah.
I only burn about 10 or 12 now.
Yeah, well, if you're not insulated, you're gonna burn a lot more. So you had that 1010. I remember that as a kid. It was yellow, right? I remember the 1010. And a lot of guys collect those now, just so you know. They're
Yeah, I wish I'd kept it.
Well.
Then I went to the John Thread, and they got bought out, and they went. Now I'm Husqvarna.
Yeah. So what of your saws you had, what do you like best? Do you remember? Or
They're all pretty good if you
I always say it's the sharp one. That's the one I
the
like.
sharp stuff.
The sharp one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Husqvarnas are nice. Kenny's had some stills he's tried, and he said they were good too, but
Yeah.
kind of just stick with what you got.
Yeah.
So then you split all your wood by hand too.
All
then?
by hand,
Up until how old were you when you finally broke down and bought a splitter?
Oh, I was married, Chris. Oh, balls.
You had to be in your 60s. I remember when you
at
bought
least
it.
60s, yeah. Yeah.
'Cause I remember helping you split. As a
Yeah.
kid, what I hated is you always got elm, and you made us kids
Yeah.
split it, and we didn't even have a splitting maul. We had to use metal wedges, and then
Yeah.
I remember you being too cheap to buy a splitting maul, so you got a railroad hammer, those little, long, skinny,
Yeah.
for driving railroad spikes. That's what we
They
used.
work pretty good.
So we had at the end was about that big, and you
Yeah.
had to hit that little bitty wedge. I remember
Yeah.
you got pretty good accuracy.
Saturday and Sunday was always cutting wood, and during the week after school, we worked for Hazley's blocking sand,
Yeah.
making cement blocks. And the owner said, "I make football players out of it." We had a grip like steel, lift them blocks, 52-pound blocks, load them up, haul them someplace, slide them down the basement, pick them up, stack them down there. You handle them 3-4 times every night.
Same as, Firewood,
But,
just handling it all.
We liked the hand grip though. In school, you could really put them down on the ground.
So how many years do you think you've been heating with wood now?
62. Well, since I was a kid, 62, but then married since 62.
Yeah, forever. Wow. So your first wood stove you had that humble, how much was that?
I think that was around $100. It could have been a
And
little
was
less.
that considered expensive when you bought it?
Yeah, that was a state of the art.
And
But this
wasn't-
Etric I got now, I paid $350 for that. I had that at least, it's got to be over 30 years, 35 years.
Now guys pay thousands and thousands of dollars for stoves, especially the
yeah.
outdoor woodwork. They're paying $6,000, $7,000, $8,000 for those
Yeah.
things. And then you got all the plumbing you got to run. And
Yeah.
I think I don't think it's that much of a savings now. I think it's more just a thing to do for
Yeah,
most guys.
gas is so cheap now. Don't burn wood, but
There's nothing like wood heat though.
I know it.
It's so much
Like
nicer.
my wife, your mother is dying right now, and I quit burning. She says, "Where's my wood heat? The floors are cold. My feet are cold."
Yeah.
So we hauled it. We just got done with a load here.
You saw that. It
Yeah.
me on the video. Yeah, you got to have wood heat. And this
Yeah.
stuff here, we cut, what, about 6-7 years ago?
6-7 years ago. I dry it at least 6-7 years.
a long time.
One year I only learned a lesson. I only dried it 1 year and burned it. And when I got up in the morning, there was a black ring around the house. What the hell happened? What the hell happened? I looked up. We had a chimney fire all night long.
Yeah,
She just burned itself out.
yeah.
Just made a big halo around it.
I remember that. I remember the walls
Yeah.
cracking.
Too much moisture in the wood. You got to dry it 2 years minimum.
Yeah, well, if you're
It
splitting
dries an
bigger.
inch all the way around every year.
Oh.
So you get something that big,
Yeah.
you need 4 or 5 years.
Yeah, the big stuff especially.
1 year is definitely not enough. Oak, you need at least 3.
If it's big.
Yeah.
Unless you split it.
Popple, if you split it right away, it's fine. 1 summer.
Oh, popple and
Yeah.
pine. Any of your lower grade woods will dry.
And white oak
fast.
dries a lot slower.
So how much money do you think you saved by burning firewood over
I
the
never
years?
figured it out. Enough to go to Alaska 30 times. 32 times up to Alaska guiding hunters.
Jeez, 32 times. That's a lot.
Oh, I said that on TV. They can't catch me now. I did it years ago.
No biggie.
Supposed to be a resident.
No biggie. You can take anybody on a trip.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what did you like most about cutting wood?
I don't know, just the family thing. You guys knew you were doing it with us.
I like just being outside.
Yeah. Anything outside's good.
Yeah. So now when we go to do a job on my dad's land, basically he's a full-time supervisor, which is just fine. But we have wood, or I should say he has wood all around on his property wherever he cuts trees. He doesn't like to haul the wood until he's going to use it. So what he does is we just put down some stringers underneath between trees, or he puts a couple pallets on the ground and maybe a pallet on each end. And we just stack the wood pretty much right where we cut it and split it without moving it at all. And then we let it stand, usually there in place, drying for however long he thinks it needs to be there. He has most of his chunks pretty big, which was good when he had 2 good arms, but now that he's got a bum arm, he has a hard time lifting him. into the stove. So we've been splitting some of them down a little bit smaller for him, so he can grab it with one hand and throw it in. Yeah, he just backs up to the pile, like where he's got his truck here, and we load it up, and then we take it up into the woodshed that he's got by the house. And usually every year in the fall, and I've done this on past videos, where we'll go and spend a day. I'll take my dump trailer and we'll load it up 2-3 times, and we'll stack all the wood for him in his woodshed, which we're going to do next year. We're going to back into his shed, and we just got a little bit extra wood because we had the shed almost full at the beginning of winter this year. My son and I went and filled it up, but he burned most of that, and he was down to just a little bit. I noticed one day, and I noticed that he was having a hard time lifting some of the bigger chunks, so I told him, I said, I'll bring him some small stuff. So I took a face cord or a third of a cord of locust to him, and he burned all that up already. And my mom, not feeling good, is cold a lot because she can't really move around too much, so she likes the wood heat, and so we try to keep the house as warm as we can for her. They like to keep it like 76, 77, 78 degrees. So in the morning, all the time, my dad will start a fire to warm it up with his wood that he's got, and warm up the house. And then their house faces to the south, so they get a lot of sun heat throughout the day, and then the evening they get a little cooler for sleeping. This is one of his piles on his property. His wood is all stacked out in the field, and he likes his stuff to dry a long time. A lot of his piles are 5-6 years old. I think one time he had one pile that was 8 years old. So all this area right here that he's walking around on was all covered at one time. And his dog likes to dig. Thinks there's a mole in there apparently. He goes after moles with a vengeance. So he was just digging like crazy. And there's holes all over on my dad's property where the dog digs for moles or mice or whatever he's chasing. You know, chipmunks or gophers or woodchucks, whatever. He's constantly trying to catch stuff, and he's just got holes everywhere. And then in the summer when it's really hot, he'll dig a hole like that and just lay in there. So he's kind of a crazy dog, but spends all of his time with his dog, and this is what he does pretty much every day. Goes for walks with his dog.